Do you remember it? The feeling of pure, unbridled anticipation. It started in the back of the family car, face pressed to the cool glass, waiting for the first glimpse. You were looking for the backwards R, a beacon of joy. This was more than a store, a kingdom of playthings, a vibrant, noisy cathedral to childhood wonder. Under the watchful gaze of Geoffrey the giraffe, shelves stacked high, dreams within reach. But then, the magic faded. So how did an icon disappear? If you enjoy deep dive stories about iconic brands and how they rise and fall, consider subscribing for more documentaries like this. The story of one of retail's greatest giants begins not with a grand vision for toys, but with something far more practical, born from the unique circumstances of a post-war world. It starts with a man named Charles Lazarus, a young cryptographer with a keen eye for opportunity. Fresh from serving in World War II, Lazarus returned to his hometown of Washington, D.C. in 1948. The nation was in a period of profound transformation, and he was ready to build a new life. He looked around and saw the baby boom reshaping the very fabric of American life. A generation of young families was starting, creating an unprecedented demand for everything a new baby needed. With a $2,000 loan, he opened Children's Bargain Town, a modest store focused on sturdy, affordable furniture for new parents. Cribs, strollers, high chairs, these were the essentials. But Lazarus, ever the observer, noticed a curious pattern. Parents who came in for a crib often left with a rattle or a stuffed animal too. These small, impulse purchases were adding up. A crib is a one-time purchase. But toys? Kids outgrow them, break them, and always want the next new thing. Lazarus realized toys weren't just an add-on. They were a renewable, recurring business, the potential cornerstone of an empire. This insight was revolutionary. In 1957, he took a bold leap and opened a second store, this one dedicated entirely to toys. He modeled it not after the small, cluttered toy shops of the era, but after the modern supermarkets that were changing how America shopped. Wide aisles, self-service, and a vast, overwhelming selection. No more asking a clerk to fetch a toy from behind a counter. This was a warehouse of fun, a cathedral of play where the inventory was right at your fingertips. For the first time, customers could roam freely, compare prices, and fill their shopping carts to their heart's content. It was a paradigm shift that put the power of choice directly into the hands of the consumer. With this new toy supermarket concept, he needed a name that was just as innovative, something catchy, childlike, and utterly unforgettable. He landed on Toys R Us. The masterstroke was the backwards R, designed to look as if a child had written it. It was a simple, brilliant signal that this was a place made for kids, a world seen through their eyes. The model proved unstoppable. The 1980s and 1990s were the golden age, a period of explosive growth and cultural dominance. Toys R Us wasn't just a store, it was a cultural institution, a rite of passage for generations of children and parents. The arrival of the semi-annual Big Toy Book was a major household event. Pages were dog-eared, circles were drawn, and elaborate wish lists were curated with the utmost care. Its promise was simple. If it was a toy, they had it. From dolls and action figures to the latest video games and sprawling Lego sets, everything lived under one massive roof. The company's mascot, Geoffrey the giraffe, grew from a simple logo into a beloved global ambassador for fun. Friendly, familiar, and seemingly everywhere. Even the cheerful jingle, "I don't want to grow up, I'm a Toys R Us kid," became an unforgettable earworm, embedding itself in the cultural consciousness and capturing the very essence of play. The stores themselves were designed to inspire awe. Towering aisles, meticulously organized by brand and category, created a sense of infinite possibility. This wasn't just shopping, it was an expedition. Exploration was built into the store's DNA, with the promise of discovery waiting at every turn. In-store demo stations and character appearance events transformed a simple shopping trip into a memorable family adventure, building loyalty that lasted for decades. Behind the scenes, the company's influence was immense. Toy manufacturers courted its buyers, knowing that securing shelf space in Toys R Us could make or break a product. its buying power effectively set the trends, picking the winners and losers in the toy industry each holiday season. By the late 1990s, after decades of seemingly unstoppable growth, change was in the air. The company that had defined toy retail for generations was at its zenith, a sprawling empire of big-box stores. But at the very height of its power, the ground under the toy kingdom began to shift, almost imperceptibly at first. The foundations, once thought to be unshakable, were showing the first signs of a deep and profound vulnerability. The trouble started subtly, with the very atmosphere of the stores. What once felt like a warehouse of wonders now just felt like a warehouse. The stores looked dated. The signature industrial fixtures, once a symbol of endless choice, now felt impersonal and cold. The rainbow stripes and Geoffrey the giraffe graphics that once screamed fun began to feel like relics of a bygone era, failing to connect with a new generation of parents and kids. Maintenance lagged, and the magic dimmed with neglect. Dust gathered on shelves, carpets grew worn, and burned-out fluorescent bulbs were slow to be replaced. As clutter rose, stockouts of popular items became more frequent, and the customer experience eroded. The joy of the treasure hunt was replaced by the frustration of finding empty pegs and messy aisles. The stores were no longer destinations. They were becoming chores. Meanwhile, a new and disruptive force emerged: the internet. Toys R Us, a titan of physical retail, viewed this new digital frontier with skepticism. Their online attempts were clumsy and half-hearted. The website was a digital afterthought, a confusing maze of broken links and poor design. Navigation was hard, search was ineffective, and fulfillment was unreliable. It felt like a pale imitation of the in-store experience, without any of the convenience the web promised. In a move that would become a legendary business misstep, they outsourced their entire online operations to a fledgling company called Amazon in the year 2000. The logic seemed sound at the time. Let the tech experts handle the web, while TRU focused on what it knew best. They saw the web as a secondary sales channel, a minor supplement to their dominant big-box retail empire. But e-commerce wasn't just another channel. It was a revolutionary new way to shop. By handing off its digital presence, TRU effectively gave its future rival a masterclass in the toy business. As TRU doubled down on its aging stores, Amazon mastered logistics, customer data, and online merchandising, using TRU's own products and brand recognition to do it. Amazon gained a critical foothold in the toy category that it would eventually come to dominate. The threat wasn't just digital. Powerful competitors were rising in the physical world too. Big box giants like Walmart and Target began aggressively expanding their toy sections, using toys as loss leaders to draw families into their stores. Their deep discounts and one-stop shop convenience drew families away. Why make a separate trip to Toys R Us when you could get the same hot toy for less while doing your grocery shopping? A perfect storm was forming. On one side, the discounters offered lower prices. On the other, online retailers brought infinite selection and ultimate convenience. Toys R Us was a specialty retailer caught in the middle, unable to compete on price and unwilling to fully commit to the digital future. The cracks in the foundation spread, and the warning signs were no longer subtle. They were everywhere. By the mid-2000s, pressure mounted. Sales and stock fell as rivals surged. Private equity entered with a promise to rescue. In 2005, a consortium made its offer. Think of it like buying a house mostly with a mortgage, a small equity stake, and a massive loan to fund a $6.6 billion deal. Crucially, the debt landed on Toys R Us, not its buyers. This is where many people think things went wrong. Let me know in the comments. Do you think Toys R Us could have survived, or was the collapse inevitable? The end began slowly, then all at once. Weighed down by billions in private equity debt and intense pressure from online retailers, the giant was faltering. In September 2017, the filing came. Chapter 11. Bankruptcy Protection. It wasn't meant to be a death sentence. There was talk of reorganization and new financing. The plan was to restructure the debt, close underperforming stores, and emerge leaner, stronger, ready to compete in a new retail landscape. For a brief moment, hope flickered for employees, suppliers, and customers. Maybe the magic wasn't gone. Maybe Jeffrey could still win. The company secured over $3 billion in financing to keep the lights on and stock the shelves for the crucial holiday season, but the 2017 holiday season disappointed badly. Key suppliers, spooked by the bankruptcy, tightened credit and limited shipments. Customers, confused by the news, shopped elsewhere. The stores felt tired, the shelves weren't full, and the magic was hard to find. The sales numbers were a catastrophe. Cash tightened, confidence evaporated. The lifeline of holiday revenue had been severed. There was no path forward. By March 2018, the devastating news became official. Liquidation was announced. The attempt to reorganize had failed. All 735 U.S. stores would close their doors forever. The kingdom was being dismantled, piece by piece. The human cost was staggering. Over 30,000 jobs vanished, many without severance, their pensions in jeopardy. A generation of dedicated workers were left with nothing but memories. The stores transformed overnight. Cathedrals of fun became bargain basements of sorrow, picked over by vultures and bargain hunters. Families returned, not for joy, for remnants. A strange, somber pilgrimage to witness the end and grab a final piece of their childhood at a steep discount. Shelves were picked clean, silence echoing where laughter once filled the air. The vibrant colors faded to a landscape of empty metal and concrete. Staff became storytellers of a vanished world, sharing anecdotes with tearful customers as they rang up the last of the inventory. On June 29, 2018, the final doors closed, and memories flooded online. The grief was palpable. A viral photo of Jeffrey the giraffe, leaving an empty store with a suitcase, captured the collective loss. It wasn't just a store closing, it was a cultural moment. The ripple effect was immense. Manufacturers like Hasbro and Mattel lost their largest retail partner overnight, scrambling to find new avenues for their products. Competitors moved quickly to fill the vacuum, expanding their toy aisles, but they could never replicate the experience. But for millions, this wasn't about market share or corporate debt. It was personal. It was the loss of a place that defined birthdays, holidays, and childhood itself. The king of toys was gone, the kingdom no more. A piece of childhood closed for good. Softly, what remains is the lesson, and a question: could the magic ever truly come back? Years later, Jeffrey still lingers in our memory. The name evokes a simpler time: warmth, excitement, wonder. Revival attempts appeared, pop-ups, and a renewed online presence. But selling a memory in a changed world is hard. The big box destination model belonged to another era. Customer expectations have moved on. The cautionary tale: change is relentless. Invest in stores, embrace digital, plan for tomorrow. Nostalgia is powerful, but not a business model. Toys R Us didn't fail because people stopped loving toys. It failed because it stopped evolving. If you want more stories like this, subscribe. There are many more coming.